Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this guide for Jiaoqiu, I'll cover his best relics, Lightcones, Teamcomp, rotations, pros and cons, and whether he's worth building. Sit back and relax, and if you find this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.
Do you have a character or Lightcone in the game that you really want, but you don't have enough StellarJades? Fortunately, lootbar.gg allows you to buy StellarJades at a discounted rate for all regions. Lootbar is one of the fastest and most reliable recharging platform with attractive discount rates. For an example, I will buy the 1980 StellarJade package for $26.40, which otherwise would have cost me $29.99, saving me a total of 20%, and also new users get an additional 5% off. To purchase, simply enter your UID and region and to receive your package in less than 30 minutes. All recharges are done through the official channel with miHoYo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Now you will be ready to get your favorite characters. Check the link in the description and pinned comment to get the amazing discounts.
I won't delve into his abilities since I assume everyone knows how he works. For an overview, Jiaoqiu has the fire element and follows the path of nihility. He is a debuffer that works best with Acheron. For DOT teams, he loses to both Robin and Wanmei. For Eidolons, players should ignore the percentage difference and look at the raw DOT DPS number instead, as his numbers are very low. In short, there's no value in pulling for Jiaoqiu Eidolons for DOT teams even at E2, where it will be better to pull for Wanmei, Robin's E2, or Kafka's E2 instead. His signature LC does not have much value either, as the DPS increase is only a mere 4.8% to 7.6% DPS boost for Acheron, and his E1 performs better by 4 to 7% plus compared to his signature Lightcone, but his Sig LC will give you an easier time to build Jiaoqiu. For DOT teams, there's a 7.7% DPS increase compared to Luca's LC. Overall, not recommend for anyone to pull for Jiaoqiu's Eidolons or Lightcone. Building Jiaoqiu, for the body, prioritize effect hit rate. Boots, focus on speed only. For DOT teams, here are the numbers for his effect hit rate to attack percent conversion. Make sure to hit 140% EHR to get the max DPS output. Then you can focus on these speed breakpoints, and lastly, some attack percent rolls. Hyper speed on Jiaoqiu for a DOT team has no value, as he won't pop off like Black Swan with more attacks. How much effect hit rate do you truly need? Do not care about Jiaoqiu's effect hit rate conversion outside of DOT teams. Jiaoqiu's ultimate has a 60% base chance, 137.9% EHR against 30% effect residential enemies is a 100% guarantee for a debuff. But for 40% effect res, it's an 86.3% chance instead, which is more than enough. For a 100% chance, you need 177.5% EHR, which is not needed and impossible to hit without his signature Lightcone. Let's be real, 110% EHR is actually fine since it's still a 75.6% chance, especially if you're running the trend Lightcone. But with 110% EHR, make sure to run Hyperspeed Jiaoqiu to offset the debuff application loss. The sweet spot is 120% EHR to future-proof better for harder contents where the enemy boss has 40% effect res. Personally, I have a hybrid crit Silverwolf with around 90% EHR, and I have barely or never missed a debuff application. Here are the speed breakpoints. It's definitely possible to hit 140% effect hit rate with Hyperspeed Jiaoqiu without an EHR Lightcone, just that you need double S-tier relics, but it's not a must. Focusing on a higher chance of debuff application may not offer higher returns if you already have around an 80% chance for a debuff on enemies that have 40% effect res. But hyperspeed is only a little bit better if you're facing single target scenarios and the enemy boss doesn't attack that often, or if you're aiming for shorter cycle MOC clears. Even if you have 110% EHR and you're facing multiple targets, the trash mobs would have a 100% chance of getting a debuff as they have 20% effect res, which is more than enough. Effect hit rate wouldn't matter because it's already Acheron's best case scenario if you're facing multiple enemies. Overall, it comes down to every player's individual luck. Like seriously, don't stress it out and just slap on the best option that you have. Relic Set. For Acheron teams, running 2-piece messenger will give you an easier time hitting higher speed on Jiaoqiu. But it isn't a must, as rainbow sets will most likely get you more effect hit rate and speed substats. Pioneer is really not needed, since without his E2 he barely deals DPS. For DOT teams or E2 Jiaoqiu, here are the DPS calculations. Running Prisoner would be the best for DOT teams. Running a two-piece mix of Messenger and Pioneer is also fine. Planar ornament. Rope energy regen only. Unless you're running Lightcones that can give energy, then running attack % rope is fine, but it's definitely not recommended as you want to run Lightcones that can reduce enemy defense for a higher total team DPS output. Orb. Go for any main stat with the most effect hit rate and speed for Acheron. But these are the priority if they all have the same amount of substats. If you're running a DOT team, go for fire damage boost over attack % as there is quite a huge DPS gap. You can run any of the planar sets I listed. The two best sets to go for are either Calpagni or Pan-Cosmic due to the free stats. Support, Rainbow, or DPS are fine if they have better substats. Moving on to his Lightcones. You only want to run either Resolution of Pearls or his signature Lightcone. These two are his best options as they will increase your overall team DPS, giving better results compared to having higher personal DPS. But players don't have to worry too much as Jiaoqiu basic attack is able to apply debuffs even without either Lightcone due to his talent. If players don't have either Lightcone, you may run these Lightcones instead, though they're not really that useful unless at E2, but running Pearls or his signature Lightcone would be the better option. For his team comp and rotations, you can run him with Dr. Ratio setup, replacing Topaz for Jiaoqiu instead. It certainly isn't better than Topaz, but Jiaoqiu would offer the same amount of cycle clears as long as you have well-built relics. Currently, I don't see a point in pulling for Jiaoqiu for a DPS other than Acheron. For Acheron, here are the DPS numbers. Jiaoqiu is best paired with Silverwolf due to the massive single-target DPS increase. With Pella, there's lesser return, but still really good. Since an E0 Acheron needs 2 debuffers, players should ignore the AoE DPS output, which is pretty much useless for Acheron in most cases, as she can delete mobs easily. Unless for pure fiction, using Pella to skill spam for 2-turn ultimate is insanely good. Acheron's single target damage is more important. Players should focus on that instead. If players have Silverwolf already, pulling for Jiaoqiu is a waste of StellarJades since you already have 2 debuffers, but it's certainly an upgrade over Pella, where Acheron still gains quite a significant DPS boost, giving you an extra 1 or 2 faster cycle clears compared to a 4-cycle clear with Acheron's worst scenario. Here are the E2S1 Acheron DPS outputs. Overall, a very good upgrade still. Unless you're facing enemy targets who don't take action often, then Jiaoqiu's value would drop a little compared to Bronya. But for 0 cycle clears without a sustain, this setup is crazy. Now running Trend Lightcone won't stack with Jiaoqiu's ultimate debuff effect, hence there will be lesser value for this LC. But if the enemy takes 2 separate actions in a single turn, Trend LC will give an extra stack of debuff for Acheron, and if you're facing 40% effect residential bosses, which is still good. Gallagher with Acheron now has higher value due to Jiaoqiu, but Fushuan's crit rate buff and Aventurin's ultimate does give higher DPS output too. So replacing your limited 5-star preservation unit for Gallagher isn't really needed. For DOT teams, Jiaoqiu isn't really recommended as Ruan Mei provides a 10% speed buff for your Kafka and Black Swan to hit hyperspeed, plus you get higher survivability. Huohua ultimate buff is useless on Jiaoqiu due to his high attack stat. Robin performs the same as Ruan Mei without needing to build hyperspeed on both Kafka and Black Swan, allowing you to focus on more attack % stat over speed. Pros: triple S tier for Acheron, beating both Silverwolf and Pella easily. Improves your cycle clears. Better at pure fiction. Jiaoqiu is even better for those who did not pull for Acheron's signature Lightcone. Still an upgrade for an E2S1 Acheron over Sparkle plus Bronya. Cons: purely made for Acheron currently. Low S tier or even an A tier support unit outside of Acheron. Ruan Mei and Robin provide higher overall universality and buffing capabilities. Should you pull? If you have both Silverwolf and Pella, it's up to you since it will help you clear 1 or 2 cycles faster and make Acheron's DPS close to Firefly. If you only have Pella, then yes, by all means, it's worth it. Overall, I would rate him a 10 out of 10 if you don't have Silverwolf. If you do have Silverwolf, the pull value drops to a 7 to 8. Outside of Acheron teams, his rating is a 5 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts down below about Jiaoqiu and if you're pulling for him. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, it really helps out a ton. And that's it for this guide.